Hi, welcome back to my channel today, and if you're new, lovely to see you here and thank you for joining me. This is the second instalment this week from the living room floor to have a chat all things weddings. I hope you've been having a wonderful week whatever you're doing. It is extremely hot today. I have now two lights shining at me doing this, so hopefully I don't melt by the end of this video. I'm still going to carry on, I'm going to do it, and we're going to work through this heat and ignore it, and I'm going to go and enjoy it afterwards hopefully. So today's video, it's not going to be suitable for everyone. It's a slightly different kind of thing compared to what I'd normally do. But I have been having so many discussions about this conversation with you guys over on TikTok or in my DMs on Instagram, asking for advice on how to handle things. I thought it would be really good to round up all the advice that I've been giving, all the ideas I've got, and kind of put it in one video that you can come back to help you through what could be kind of a stressful, worrying time for you. So this video today is going to discuss things about how to handle divorced parents, step parents, and deal with kind of wedding traditions around that and how you cope with doing them in a nice way that is positive or includes everyone and ultimately doesn't stress you out in the run up to the wedding. So it's going to be quite a difficult one for me to talk about because it is a really sensitive subject, but I'm going to do this because I hope you're going to really benefit from it. You could get some ideas from it, and if I can help you guys out, then that's what I'm going to do, regardless of how I feel about doing this video or how kind of awkward I feel about discussing some of these things. So I hope you enjoy. If it's your first time here and we haven't met before, my name's Beth and I'm a professional wedding planner here in the UK, and this channel is my little wedding world where I get to give hints, tips and secrets into the wedding industry to hopefully make sure that your planning journey is that little bit easier, less stressful and more enjoyable throughout. So we're going to get straight in with the video today. I really hope this helps you. Give me a comment or send me a message if you've got any questions that are personal to you on this, as it's going to be quite a general broad overview. The video may also help if you've got any sort of conflicts within the family that you're trying to deal with. It is going to focus around parents, divorces and step parents, but you can apply these situations to so many different areas. So really hope this helps. I'll get straight on in with it. I'll stop rambling and yeah, hope you enjoy. So with this video today, it's not going to be my usual kind of 10 steps thing because it doesn't really work for this, and there's no kind of 10 steps around dealing with these sorts of things that can kind of come up in life. So before the wedding day, I'm going to suggest a few things that I think you can and should be doing to help ease the situation, and then I'm going to go through the wedding day, all the kind of areas where traditions may contradict what you want to do and may not kind of fit what you have planned, and how you can tackle that, how you can do something slightly different to make it nicer for all, and just give you some ideas. So I hope you really enjoy listening to that, and I hope it really helps. So before the wedding day, I feel that there's a few things you can do to kind of start having conversations and discussions with people to maybe ease it. You may be really worried about a situation, but actually having a conversation and sitting down with someone may make you realise and then tell you that they're not actually bothered by it and they're absolutely fine by whatever you decide, and they're just going to go with it. So my first step with any of these is going to be to go and sit down and have a conversation with the person involved, tell them your worries, ask them about their worries, and kind of discuss how you're going to cope with it on the wedding day and what you plan on doing. Sitting down with someone is always best rather than on the phone or by text, because it can be taken wrong, and it feels much more personal and considered if you sit down together. So always do that if you can. Discuss the options, how they feel, how you feel, and try and come to some sort of mutual arrangement that both sides are really happy about. And actually, if they're not that worried about it, then your kind of worries are gotten rid of really early on, and you can just move straight on forward with doing your plans and not stressing about it too much. So when it comes to divorce with parents, if it's an amicable divorce and both people have got partners, then the situation is going to be a lot easier on the day. If one person's got a partner but the other hasn't, then you may want to consider offering that person a +1. It's always nice to have some support there, especially if that person's going to be nervous. Having that person who's there for them, that can support them kind of mentally throughout the day and be there to take them away from any situations that they don't like, is a really nice thing. And if one of your parents is feeling nervous about the situation, having that option might be something really nice for them. On the other side of it, and this is a really difficult one to say, if one side of the relationship has a new partner but that partner was maybe involved in the reason of the breakup or infidelity, or it was quite a harsh, nasty breakup and things haven't been quite solved through it, of course you want both your parents there, but it may be that you ask them not to bring that partner. This is a really difficult one, and it's going to be so personal to each person, and I can't say that is going to be suitable for every situation. But if you're worried about it and you would rather that they weren't there, so both of your parents can have a day without so much issue or worry or stress, then maybe this might be something that you want to suggest to them. So that is going to be a conversation you might want to have around it. So that's a few ideas of what you can do before you even get to your wedding day to try and rest rest people's minds and sort this out in the best way possible. Chat with them, sit down with them, have these conversations, invite plus ones, ask that people don't attend if that's appropriate, and hopefully you can all come to a mutual decision that is suitable for you. And at the end of the day, most people will want to support you on your wedding day and will go with your wishes. So of course your main worries are going to be surrounded by the wedding day and certain traditions causing you issues with the setup you've got within your family. Every family is different. There are not many standard traditional families where one fits all nowadays, so don't feel bad or feel that you need to be awkward about it. There is always a way to deal with every situation, and actually weddings are supposed to be about you, not about tradition anymore. So doing something slightly different is always a positive and shows your personality and your own family makeup as well. Saying that, I'm going to go through a couple of traditions that most people think about on the day and most of the questions that I get asked, and give you a few ideas of how you may like to handle them on the day. And the first thing you're going to look at is going to be your ceremony. I get asked so many questions in my DMs about who's going to walk you down the aisle. I don't have a close relationship with my dad, but dad's expecting it. I would like my grandfather to walk me down the aisle. Maybe you haven't got that father figure and your mother's expecting, but you'd rather your brother walk you down the aisle, or maybe you're just considering doing it by yourself. There are so many different options. As I said at the beginning, you're going to want to sit down and discuss it with them to let them know why you're doing it. And I always believe the best way is to let them know your reasons behind this. So do that, have that conversation, and I hope that helps in the first instance. To walk down the aisle though, I mean, there are so many different options. Don't feel like you've got to sit to anything. And if you want to choose a different family member because you haven't got that father figure, that's really lovely. A question I get asked all the time is, I was brought up by both my dad and my stepdad. They were both in my life and I'd like them both to be part of it. I have seen brides walk down the aisle with both their fathers, their stepfather and their biological father on the day, and that is such a beautiful way to do it. Equally, if you don't want to upset anyone and you don't want to decide, do the walk by yourself, go down with your bridesmaids, or even enter the room with your new husband or wife to be. There is no such thing as tradition anymore. Superstition is just out the window at this stage. Do what you want, what makes you comfortable, and be happy in knowing you can do that. The other side of it, during the ceremony, you might be concerned about seating. If you need to separate parts of the family, but you still want your family in the front row, so they're all going to be sitting next to each other. A way I've seen this done really nicely is actually just saying pick a seat, not a side, and families can sit wherever they want. So if you'd like your father's side on one side and your mother's on the other, and swap it around for your groom or your husband or wife to be as well, then that is absolutely fine. A great way to do it is by doing reserve cards and actually seating people where you want them to be sat. There's no question about it on the day. Then you know people are separated. They're not going to miss out on seats and suddenly have to be forced together. They've got allocated seats, and whenever they get into that ceremony room, they can just go and sit there. And the final thing I'd like to mention with ceremonies is about the readings. If for whatever reason you're choosing not to do something else that's traditional and you feel like you might be leaving someone out because of that, you could always suggest that they do a reading or something during the ceremony. It's a really beautiful way to include more people in your day if they can't be part of your bridal party for whatever reason and they have a special moment to be there for you. So I love doing this. It's a really nice way and something you may want to consider. So after the ceremony, the next section of the day that you may be concerned about is the photography and the photo section and all your family portraits. And rightly so, this could be a moment where people are more relaxed. It's not as formal as a ceremony. It could be a time where arguments could flare up if not carefully managed. So what I'd highly suggest you always do is that if there's anything that you want to avoid, is discuss this with your wedding planner, wedding coordinator, and also your photographer and videographer and any other suppliers that are going to be with you for the majority of the day. The last thing you want happening is your photographer asking for your mum and your dad to come and stand in a photo, and that isn't what you'd planned on doing, and you know it's going to cause problems. What you can do in advance is actually sit down with your photographer and videographer and give them a shot list. Explain what's going on the day, explain who you want to keep separate, and give them a physical list of who you want involved in those photos, rather than them just shouting out who's next and kind of maybe saying some things that you don't want them to say. So this is a really great way of doing it. Have that conversation in advance. Suppliers will always keep your secrets. We will always be discreet about it, and if we know, we can cover for you. If we don't, we may say something that could be upsetting on the day, and that is the last thing we want to do. Moving on through the day, the next kind of thing you're going to be doing more formal is going to be your wedding food, your wedding banquet, and that's going to take into account your table plan. I get asked so many questions about how to do a top table if you've got step parents, parents you want to keep separate, or any arguments in the family, but you still don't want to leave anyone out. So I'm going to put together a couple of suggestions, and I hope this really helps you in deciding. Obviously, the traditional top table is a long straight top table, and you've got parents on there, maid of honour, your best man, and also yourselves, a couple. And if this isn't going to work for you because you've got step parents to include, you can extend this table so it's even longer. And if you want to keep people apart, having a long straight table is quite easy to do that, and you can place people at different ends. Everyone is still then on the top table and feels included. But your room may not actually have that much room, you may not be able to do this, and it may not be feasible because it's getting too long and you don't like the look of it. So other ideas could be that you don't even have a top table and you do away with it altogether. Have a table where you sit there with your bridal party, so your groomsmen, your bridesmaids, that sort of thing, or have a table where you just sit with your friends. And then you can keep your two families completely separate and have a table for each of them. What I would always recommend is making sure that those tables are equal in the room, they're equal distance to you and kind of equal in importance. The last thing you want to do is put one side of your family really close to where you're sitting and the other side of the family at the back of the room. That is going to cause upset and people don't like feeling like they've been pushed out. So it's really important to think about that one. Another lovely idea to kind of totally get rid of the whole top table thing is to have a sweetheart top table. And this is where just you and your other half will sit on a table together and actually have some peace and quiet throughout the meal to see each other. It is so busy on a wedding day, you don't get actually much time to sit there together, so it's a really nice way to do that, and that way you're not actually picking who you're going to sit with on the day. Your friends, your family, everyone can sit on their own tables and be happy knowing that you've made this decision not personally just because you don't want to pick sides and you don't want to pick people. Moving on through to the next stage, we've kind of got speeches, and there's traditional speeches, and I'm always going to ask, what do people do? Traditionally, it's the father of the bride, it's the groom, and it's the best man. You do not have to do this though. You do not have to stick to honours. You don't even have to do speeches at all if you feel like it's going to cause you too many problems. You can have multiple people do speeches, you could have different sets of parents do speeches, or you could actually just stand up as yourself as the couple and thank people for being there and just finish it at that. So don't feel like this has to be an awkward time, but it could also be a good time if you've included one parent in another section to include another parent in the speeches and ask them if they'd like to do it. I always say it's nice to ask the question, even if you know that they hate public speaking and it's not going to be something that they're going to do. If you've asked that question, at least you've asked, they've had the option to do it, and they feel like they've been included and thought of and not left out on those kind of important decisions throughout the day. And last point of the day, we're moving into the evening party. In this country, things like father's dances, dad-daughter dances, stuff like that aren't big. So if you choose not to do those, no one's going to even notice. It's really common for just to do a couples dance, your first dance together, and then everyone to flood the dance floor at the end of that song. So if you'd rather miss those things out, they're not going to be noticeable or commented on at all. Equally, if you want to include them, you could just swap out and do different people at different parts of the dance and just make it really inclusive, bringing people slowly into the dance floor to make it into one big party. So there's a couple of ways to deal with that sort of section. And I'm going to mention the evening party more because of the alcohol involvement in it, and if there's some people with a tendency to drink and get emotional or maybe get argumentative after a couple of drinks, you'll definitely want to watch this one on the wedding day. The best way I'd say to deal with this, if you think or you're going to be worried about it, is to have people kind of buffers. I don't really know what to call them any better than that, but people who can be there and they're going to watch out for these moments, and they know that this could be a risk at this point in the day and that they can step in and deal with it for you, rather than you getting dragged into it and being upset on your wedding day. Your wedding day is one day, it's so important to you, and the last thing you want to be doing is getting involved in any arguments and being really upset on the day. So make sure you've got these people placed that they can step in, diffuse the arguments, take people away if needs be. If these people know the situation, they'll be more than willing to help you, prep them beforehand, and this is a really good way of dealing with all those things. So I hope that's helped give you a few ideas on how to deal with a few different family situations. Of course, it is not going to cover everything. Everyone's situation with this is going to be totally personal. So if you've got any specific questions, either drop them in the comments if you're happy having them publicly on there, or send me a message over on Instagram. I am always happy to chat and help you out. This has been such a hard subject to kind of bring together and piece together, and I hope you understand I'm just trying to do my best in giving information, and if that even just helps a couple of you feel more confident about the day and forgoing some of the traditions in favour of something that works for your personal circumstances, then please do that, and I am so happy this has helped you. So I'm going to leave it there for today, and I apologise for maybe being a bit awkward in this video, not quite knowing what to say in certain areas, but it's such a sensitive subject, but something that's super important to discuss. So if you've enjoyed this video, as always, please give me a thumbs up on the video. It helps more people see it, and in this case, if someone's struggling with this area, then that is really really important to do. And if you haven't joined the community yet, hit the subscribe button. We are growing every single day and I absolutely love seeing the new subscribers joining each day. It means the absolute world to me and it's so exciting to see the numbers rising. So thank you from me to each and every one of you that are continuing to support the channel and be here and comment and show up and discuss things. It means the absolute world to me. And yeah, I will leave it there. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Go out and enjoy this sunshine if you're watching this live, and I will speak to you all very, very soon and be back with a new video with something exciting next week. Can't wait to see you there. Speak to you soon. Bye.